Good morning, everyone. I was so excited to tell you what I had on my heart yesterday that I forgot that my phone was connected to my car, so it doesn't hear the audio. So we're gonna try this again. I'm still excited about it. I've had a lot of great conversations with people this week and last week. Everybody's doing a great job. I know everybody's working hard on the nutrition, making some lifestyle changes. I know everybody's working hard on the workouts. Continue to send me those food logs. I'm gonna continue to give you little bits and pieces. We'll try to airtight those as we go along. First things first, right? It's all a process. Can't focus on the results. So I know some of us, it's just eating cleaner and making sure that we're eating clean foods. Others of us, it's making sure we know what we're eating. But great job on that. As far as the videos from the workouts, please keep sending those. I love watching the videos. I love to critique and help out with the posture and everything and all the small details of the working out. That's one of my favorite parts about coaching is the movement. Any exercise, you're gonna get some benefit from it. So sometimes we think that chest press, we're good, but there's little things like our ribs may be lifting up, we're losing a little core stability in our lower back. There's a lot of small details in every one of these exercises, and I wanna make sure you guys are getting the most out of it. To help you out moving forward, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start requesting certain exercises each week. You'll see that beside your workouts, it'll say, please videotape this. The reason for that is some of the warm-ups, I don't see very many of the warm-ups and I don't see hardly any of the core exercises. I wanna know what's going on in those too, because they're just as important as those strength exercises. The other thing is with those strength exercises, we do those consistently over 4 weeks, and then we'll do another variation of that. So it's a little bit easier to get that technique down and translate it from one to the other. We may be doing single leg Romanian deadlifts on 1 week and then come back the next week and be doing good mornings. Similar type of exercise for you, but there's some differences. And usually those fall in the warm up and in the core. So I wanna make sure I see those. Like I said, I'm gonna make sure that I tell you guys which ones I wanna see. Overall, workouts, nutrition is great. One of the things that I wanna come to you with is I've talked to some people about results. We've had a couple of things as far as results with the weight, with the body measurements, and everything like that. We've had some frustration, right? We have some good times, we have some bad times. What I gotta remind you of is, like anything else that you're very successful at life, it doesn't always start easily, okay? I saw a post by one of our clients that's out there. She runs direct marketing or network marketing makeup sales, and she kills it on Facebook, just kills it. And for me, doing these videos is difficult. I'm sure to her it maybe started that way, but right now it looks like she's flawless. But I can't sit there myself and say, man, someday I'll be like her and be able to present myself on video like she does. But I won't be able to do that if I don't think about the process. What was the process that she had to go through? She had to get on that camera every day and get the practice doing it until she felt comfortable. So like for me, the videotaping and getting these videos out and posting, for you guys, it may be this nutrition program. It may be these working out. We have to remember the process, and we got to not focus on the end result, but focus on putting as much effort into that process as we can. That's kind of a big thing, right? Food and nutrition is get back to natural, and as far as working out in the overall program, focus on the process. So, and it's understandable, we get frustrated, we get emotional, that's great. So what I want to talk about is what happens when some bad things happen, what happens when good things happen, how do we kind of track those results? So that's what I want to go through today. Where am I at? I got to keep notes here. Lose my train of thought. Like I said, I've been talking to a lot of clients and checking in on them, and most of us are either 4 weeks or we're 2 weeks into the program. And we're results driven, right? We have goals. We have weight loss goals, we have body fat composition goals, we have strength goals, we have all sorts of goals, a lot of goals. So we want to be able to track those to make sure that we're moving in the right direction and not just spinning our tires. So what comes up is, when should I do them? Okay? So there's basically everybody out there, I'm going to go back to my notes here again. Everybody out there, we basically falls into 4 goals. Okay? Let's talk about those. Weight, body weight, how much do we weigh? Measurements, are we getting smaller? Are we getting tighter? Are we getting toner? Body fat, that kind of goes along with the measurements. And I'm going to talk a little bit about body fat. I know I haven't done any body fat testing, and I'm going to explain some things around that and why not. And then we have strength goals. In each one of these goals, where we're at today didn't happen overnight, okay? Whether it is a body weight goal where we put on weight small and small throughout the years and got to the point we're at, body fat is very similar, or strength goals, maybe we didn't commit to the strength, maybe we didn't stick with it. That could go to injuries as well. Maybe we have an injury that just keeps reoccurring. Maybe we didn't stick with or put all the work that we possibly could have or should have done to recover from that injury, and that's where we're at today. So we got to remember, we didn't get to where we're at today overnight. In the same aspect, we're not going to get to where we want to go overnight as well. So let's talk about weight. Okay, when should I take the body weight measurements? First thing, you should take the body weight measurements at most every 2 weeks. If you aren't too concerned about it and you just like to track it on a day-to-day basis, maybe you do a little bit more running, sweating, those types of things, and you want to look at what your water intake needs to be. We got some people out there that practice with their sons or daughters in sports. That's going to require some things. Some of the guys that do wrestling, some of that type of sport where you're really I can't say that word, really sweating. You may want to keep track more often to make sure that you're getting the water back into it. But for most of us, if our goal is body fat or body weight reduction, we should probably only be tracking it every 2 weeks. That being said, you should track it on the same day at the same time every 2 weeks, okay? Not one day a Monday, one day a Sunday, one day a Saturday. If it's gonna be Sunday, it's gonna be Sunday at the same time, at night, in the morning, whatever the case may be, so that you have a constant variable on what that time is. Next, you should take into consideration 2 things that go along with that. In the past 2 to 3 days, have I got regular sleep, okay? Reducing your sleep just a little bit, a couple hours here and there, is could majorly affect your water retention and what your body weight does. The second thing would be, am I taking regular bowel movements? Now, one thing that is very surprising to me, but I should understand this better, is not everybody knows what a regular bowel movement is. You should be going, number 2, once a day, and it should be solid, okay? If you're not at that point, then get a hold of me. Let's talk about this, because this is a serious nutrition issue that we should be addressing. There could be a number of different reasons. You could have too much processed food in your diet. You could need a probiotic. There's a number of different things and a number of variables that we want to address if that's not happening. But don't be ashamed. Make sure you talk to me about that. Next would be female cycle. Make sure that you're not doing it on the way of the cycle. Most of you women understand what your body does during that time of the month. If you can avoid that by a couple weeks each time and maybe stretch it out to once every 4 weeks, that's going to be very beneficial. But keep in mind, when you do go to make your body weight measurements, that you are addressing those 2 things along with the sleep. Okay? As far as measurements. Where am I at? Sorry. Measurements, again, you should do those at most every 2 weeks. Ideally, it would be every 4 weeks. Give yourself a little bit of time to do that. Again, you want to do it at the exact same time, at the exact same weight. Make sure that you know somehow if you have to measure your hip and measure down and then measure across, so you have both of those measurements on the hip and then around it to make sure that you're hitting the same spot every time. Please do that. The biggest thing is the consistency. And again, you're going to think about those rules that I just gave you. Regular sleep, regular bowel movement, and then the time of the month for the females and that type of thing. On the body fat. Body fat, we don't do body fat. I think the circumference measurements are good enough for that. The reason why we don't do body fat measurements is if I'm not going to do them, they're not going to be as consistent. I can't do them consistently because each person is going to be a little bit different and each person carries body fat in a little bit different way. So maybe I pinch somebody, and when I do the pinches in a certain area that they just don't hold as much fat and they hold a lot more around the love handles, which we don't really do. We do up towards the front. So there's a lot of variables there. If you really want to know what your body fat number is, with all those variables, what's going to happen is you're going to get frustrated. You're going to get a number that may not be accurate. Maybe it's like 30%. You're like, I'm 30% body fat, and completely destroy yourself. But the fact is, it's probably not accurate anyways. If you want to do that, if you want to really get it tested, and you're in the Des Moines area or wherever you're at across Iowa right now, we've got a couple in Pennsylvania as well. Not Pennsylvania, Maryland is where Annapolis is. But if you're somewhere else, let me know, and we'll try to find a university that does it rather cheap. here in central Iowa, you can do it at DMU, but it's a little bit more expensive. You might be able to do it at New Life, and then I know you can do it at Central College for just 50 bucks. So let me know if you want to do that. If body fat reduction is a goal of yours, and that's completely fine, what we're gonna do is we're gonna use the measurements, the body weight, and then we're gonna use the before and after pictures. Now with the before and after pictures, make sure that you're finding somebody else to look at it, not somebody preferably that lives in your house. Your spouse probably has a little bit too much invested and a little bit too much to lose to ask them, hey, do these pictures look different? Yeah, they look different. You know, if I say, nope, they don't look very much different, I'm probably gonna take the heat for that. So keep that in mind. But you can send them to me on that. I just compare them, look at different things, look at how the body may be changing. Maybe it's just redistributing the body fat. It's also a great way for me to see posturally how you're standing, if there's anything that we need to address from that standpoint. And we'll talk a little bit about injuries a little bit later, but it's also a good way to do that. You can do that every week, every 2 weeks. I would say every 2 weeks would probably be ideal. And then it would kind of be cool to see as you move along. Once we get to that goal, we're gonna have some pretty sweet progress pictures. But that's completely up to you. Again, every 4 weeks. Again, it all depends on what you want your goals to be and how you want to address those. So hopefully that kind of makes some sense, gives you some guidelines, some rules around some of that type of stuff. Now let's talk about what if, okay? So body weight. Had 3 situations in which clients called me after 2 weeks and after 4 weeks and were frustrated that the first 3 weeks or the first week they were doing well and they were seeing progress, their body weight was dropping, and then all of a sudden when they weighed themselves on a Sunday, it was back up again, okay? Maybe 5 pounds, maybe 3 pounds, it kind of depends on male, female, whatever the case may be. Well, what do we do then, okay? First thing, for personally what we do, I do the same thing in areas of my life, is I act emotionally, right? And I'm like, screw this isn't working, nothing's gonna work, I'm not seeing the fruits of my labor, I'm working hard, I've been lifting, I've been working out, watching what I eat, nothing's working, screw this, okay? First of all, quitting's not gonna get you anywhere, right? If we quit, we're gonna go right back to where we started, the same frustration, nothing's gonna change. So if you really want the change, let's slow down. I completely understand, I get emotional as well. Take the emotion out of it, let's look at it logically. Okay, let's take a look at it. In these 2 situations, and these kind of play into it, and I want to go into this a little bit more. They had weekends in which they went out, and they went out for the weekend and had a couple more drinks than they probably should have. Not that they were out of control, but it was more in a calorie standpoint. So what happens with that, and what can also happen with processed food is the same way because of the toxins. Alcohol is a toxin, processed foods have toxins, is I go out, I have 6 glasses of wine, equals about 800 calories that I'm intaking, okay? From that 800 calories, there's no nutritional value from it, okay? Why is there 800 calories that there's no nutritional value? Well, calorie is a unit of energy. So what that means is to digest those calories, okay, to process that alcohol through your system, your liver and your kidneys have to use 800 calories worth of energy to do that. Now, we have a good dinner, okay? Maybe it's a little fancier dinner, we're going out, those types of things. Again, completely fine, but if we have a 400 calorie dinner plus that 800, okay? So the body has to find 800 calories, and most of us, that's gonna be at least a half a day, if not 3/4 of your full daily calories. So now we've added on that much work that our body needs to do and need to make up on. The issue is over here with those 400 calories that we ate from probably fattier foods, probably a little bit more higher in carbohydrates, which probably isn't a bigger issue. And again, I'm gonna have a video on this in more detail later in the week, and whatever else is in that doesn't get digested, it gets stored, gets put away, it gets stored. The other thing that happens is the body goes into shock and it inflames and it holds water, okay? So one night could mean 3 to 5 pounds on your body weight on Sunday. Doesn't mean you gained weight, doesn't mean you're not working hard, doesn't mean you're not watching your nutrition. Most likely what it means is you had a little bit too much calories, you slacked a little bit, the body is going into a little bit of shock, holding on a little bit of water. As long as we come back and we get back on it on Monday and start to cleanse that system back out, we're gonna see those results again. Other things could be drastically wrong, okay? There could be, the nutrition could not be tight enough. Like I said earlier, we know that we're working hard and we're doing better, but could we do more? Could we do more? Could we work out a little bit harder? Could we lift a little bit more weight? Could we go a little bit harder on the conditioning? Could we clean up that diet a little more? Again, be the man in the mirror, like Michael Jackson said. Look at yourself and say, hey, is there something or a variable in here that I'm not taking account? Like the drinking, those types of things, a party, something like that. Am I taking an antibiotic? Is there some different medications that I'm going through? What is the circumstance? If those things are eliminated, that are kind of thrown in on us and we don't have a ton of control all the time over, well, that's not the right way to say that. But you understand what I'm saying. Then let's look at the diet and let's look at the exercise. If not, let's take a look back, take the emotion out, see what may be causing this issue, reevaluate the strategy, and move forward. Okay? Does that make sense? Next thing would be, with that, when you do see that body weight go up, double check it with your measurements. Okay? So if your body weight stays the same, and we've looked at all those variables, before we look at the workouts and at the nutrition, let's say, okay, there's no variables of drinking or antibiotics or any of those types of things that may throw something off. What's going on? Well, let's second that opinion on our weight loss that is not moving by doing circumference measurements. Again, we do that measurement. If we see movement in those measurements, we know, okay, we're losing weight, we're getting tighter, we're getting more muscular. Maybe the body weight is not quite showing you, okay? A whole nother topic about body weight number versus leanness and all that is for another time. So do those measurements. Reference your body weight numbers that you're seeing on the scale. Cross-reference that with your measurements and see if something's going on. With the measurements, if there's none of those outside factors like I discussed earlier with the body weight and nothing is moving, we gotta look at the nutrition, okay? The simple fact of it is we're either gaining a ton of muscle, and ladies, if you're gaining a ton of muscle, I'm gonna be talking to you because I wanna figure that out because I got a lot of men that would like to figure out how to gain a ton of muscle really quick, okay? So let's take a look at that. Let's now dig into that diet. We're gonna have to look at that diet closer. If you're not willing to do that, completely fine, understood. But understand that it's gonna be a slower process and it's gonna take you a little bit longer to get where you wanna go if you don't keep dialing down on those details. I think the body fat and the pictures have the exact same thing to look at. Now in the first couple weeks, you're probably not gonna see as much movement. It's kind of gotta be a reference thing. You kind of really have to keep it in mind, especially if you're using the photos that, hey, the photo is not gonna tell me everything. It's not gonna tell me a whole lot really in just 2 weeks. Because what happens, I got belly fat and I got love handles. If my diet's not proper, my insides aren't clean, my body's gonna work on cleaning those insides before it starts to lose the body fat and everything on the outside. But get to 4 weeks, we should see a little bit of change. It may be minimal. We get to 8 weeks, we should definitely start seeing that. But again, the photos, we should cross-reference those with our measurements and with our body weight, okay? So you're always kind of cross-referencing those measurements, and that's a way to kind of tell us what's going on and not just have one number like the body weight or one metric like the photo telling us if we're being successful. I know you guys are all working, we're all working hard, we're all doing our best. Sometimes we just need to regroup and look at those strategies a little bit closer. Kind of talked about that. Food, knowing exactly. Okay. Hope that helps out. Next thing would be the exercises. Now, I know that everybody is doing them safely and feels safe and comfortable. But we have to keep in mind injuries as we age. All of us on here are not college athletes. There's two actually, but we're not college athletes. Our bodies are going to recover different. We have posture deviations, whether it be from sports or from life, hurt knees, hurt shoulders, those types of things. That's why I think it's so important that you send me the videos. The other thing is, if an injury comes up and I have videos to go back on and say, okay, now so-and-so was moving this way when they did their lateral raises, and that person is swimming and now has a shoulder issue. Well, okay, now I see the video. We're not quite doing this exercise properly that may have led to this swimming causing a shoulder issue or lower back or a calf or whatever the case may be. But as long as I have those videos to go back from the exercises, I can evaluate how you're moving and then try to deductively decide what's going on with that body. If that happens, please reach out to me. Don't wait, okay? What I'm gonna ask you to do is I'm gonna ask you to go through a self-assessment, okay? My shoulder hurts. Nick, when I raise my shoulder here, I feel this sharp pain here, and I feel it underneath my armpit. When I reach to the front, I don't feel it at all. You know when it's the worst is when I reach into the back seat, okay? Had that happen a number of times with a number of different clients. Now, going back to this instance with this person that's swimming, I know that overhead stroke is gonna have a lot of stress on that rotator cuff and on the trap. They go in to do a sprawl, their traps are maybe shoved up here, okay? They're not squeezing back with the shoulder blades. It could happen in a chest press too, where we got a little bit too much movement in the trap and not enough in the back. That's gonna lead to that trap and that rotator cuff getting a little tight. If I can go back in those videos, we can correct them through the videos, and then we can assess and put together a rehab program. But I need you to reach out to me. I need you to communicate with me when that happens immediately so we can address it and move forward. Another thing that goes along with that, guys, girls, if you're playing sports or if you play sports yourself, so like myself, I play softball in the summer, run around with Peanut coaching basketball and those types of things, trying to demonstrate that. Got some other people that are doing soccer, any of those types of things, whether it's playing soccer or coaching your son or daughter. Please let me know, okay? The reason for that is there may be things that we wouldn't do in a workout program that we, if we had that in mind. Let's take soccer, for instance. Somebody tweaked a calf a little bit playing soccer, and 2 days prior, 3 days prior, in their previous week's exercise, I had them do a treadmill workout, okay? Now, that treadmill workout didn't feel bad at the time. It was a good workout. They felt great. But what it does is it puts a little bit of different stress on that lower calf. Now, not taking into consideration that he was soccer, I knew he was coaching, didn't realize how active he was teaching the movements and those types of things. He tweaked his calf a little bit because he was running on his toes. Main reason is that walk on the treadmill probably tightened up those calves a little bit, and then it wasn't quite ready for that stress. So one or two things, both things that we would do is first, we wouldn't have them do that treadmill workout. And if they felt comfortable after a couple of weeks of conditioning and getting ready to run on your toes and do some different stuff like that, then maybe we put the treadmill workout in with a proper warm up and that type of stuff. But we wouldn't put that in knowing that he's gonna go out there and be running on his toes and doing high knees and that type of stuff. Conversely, we aren't in the best shape. Not a lot of us play soccer. I don't play softball a lot, so that when we go into running and those types of things, I get groin issues. So leading up to that and in season, we're gonna set together a rehab program that's gonna make sure that you're prepared to do those types of things, okay? We don't wanna change your life, we wanna improve your lifestyle. So we just gotta take into consideration all these things that are happening, okay? That also has to deal with stress. If you're dealing with stress, something has happened in your life, please get a hold of me. I've been through a lot of BS in my life, completely self-inflicted for the most part, but we know that stress and that type of stuff, any outside things that may be happening, work, family, friends that can weigh on us, that's gonna affect our health, and we wanna take into consideration those types of things, whether it be tracking our results or just making sure that we're having great workouts and we're using the workout to feel healthy and to be a positive in our life and not just another drag or another thing that we gotta worry about, okay? So please reach out to me on that. I guess that's kind of it. Sorry for some of those blah, blah, blahs, and I have to check my notes. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I really did enjoy talking to you guys about some of these things. What I really want to emphasize is you guys have goals and you have a why around those goals. Remember that why. Remember that everything that we're successful, you guys are all very successful people. I admire all of you for what you have done in your professional careers, what you've done in your personal lives, the mothers, the fathers that you are. You're all amazing people. We got to remember that, and we didn't get to those very esteemed jobs and being good fathers and mothers and friends and that type of stuff overnight, right? We make mistakes. We make mistakes in relationships. We make mistakes in business. But I would venture to guess that most of you never quit, right? We never quit on any of that type of stuff, and that's the biggest thing. When we're looking at some of these things, we have an emotional attachment to it, and sometimes our emotions when we get hurt, whether it be looking at the scale or from speaking with a spouse, those types of things, we react emotionally in defense, right? Where I'm going to be tough and I'm going to fight this off. Sometimes in those areas where we are hurt, we have to step back, think logically, always think about positive emotions and the negative emotions around this. What am I going to do to focus on the positive emotions and kick those negative ones out? Address the negative ones. Be aware that they're there. Be aware that that is part of your personality. I try to do the same thing in my daily life, is understand that I'm a hot-headed, defensive, stubborn ass. So I gotta step back, think logically. Why am I reacting this way? Most of the time it's because my feelings are hurt. And then think of the positive, right? When Angie gets on me about something and I act defensively, if I take a step back, why does she want me to do this? It's for my own good, right? And we got to think about it that way and think about the positive emotions that feel about that. If I cleaned up and tidied up the gym after I was done, I wouldn't be so ticked off in the morning when I'm scrambling around picking everything up. Very minimal example, but think about the positive and not about the negative. And then remember the grace, guys. Give yourself grace. Give other people in your life grace. Jesus was very gracious to us. Set out a lot of rules, and we fall short. We're going to fall short in our diet and nutrition, our relationships, and everything in our life. Have some grace for yourself and some self-love. Lastly, call me. I'm here to help you guys out. I love working with you guys. This is something I feel rejuvenated since getting back in and helping everybody that's out there. It's so much fun. I appreciate the opportunity to work with everybody. I look forward to continuing to work with you guys. And if there's anything that you ever need, don't hesitate to reach out. Please reach out if you have questions about the workout before you go to the gym. I'm up every day, 4:30, 5 o'clock. Some days it's 5 o'clock, some days it's 4 o'clock. But most of the time I'm up before you guys are hitting the gym. And I'm usually not going to bed now until like 9:30, 10, because I love getting on the computer and commenting on those videos. Everybody, have a great hump day. I'll see you guys on Friday. Again, we're going to talk about a couple things on Friday. It's going to be a little bit sciencey, going to be a little bit heavy, but then we're going to try to devise some strategies as well to get us through the weekend. All right, everybody have a great hump day. Go Spartans.